I didn't realize she was one of the top living psychologists in the country.
Mm.
So we go in, she gives me the testing and she says, yeah, you're at the first grade level.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a system where I can temporarily boost that up. All right. But generally I maintain and it's really difficult. And then I finally found going through law school how to make that gains generally more permanent. I still have flashes where I go back down to first grade. I have to concentrate to read at the grad level. But when I was reading much deeper than my classmates. Let me explain to your audience, for those of you that have dyslexic kids, you're probably dealing with them in elementary school, writing what teachers describe at major dyslexia conference. They're saying that the students have write a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words. I'm going to show you how to fix that right now, very simply.
Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your most true, most authentic business voice. Heck, maybe just your most true voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, change your life, or change the tactics that will help you to change your life. Maybe we'll head in that direction instead. And we're very grateful that you continue to like, watch, follow us. And I am certain that one of the reasons that that's so is because I get to continually bring people onto the program who walk the walk, their own arc to authenticity, so to speak. Today is absolutely no exception. I'm very, very, very excited because we have someone who is known as the Dyslexia Professor, who has created systems and strategies to help individuals and families correct a difficult problem and help these individuals to accelerate almost immediately, which excites me. He's also the former quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, wait, I got that part wrong. We'll tell you that part of the story in a moment. Russell Van Brocklen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
100%. It is great that you are here. So you had told me off camera the part about being a distant relative of a former Eagles quarterback, which I happen to like. Tell me a little bit more in terms of you rather than the Philadelphia Eagles. How did it begin for you? I would say like that you felt a need, not the need to create the business platform, but the realization that either things were different or that you saw something different or felt something different in regards to your own reading and the reading of others.
Well, it came down to me when my life changed, when I faced probably just one of the worst areas of discrimination you're ever going to hear about. And this was done at the institutional level. So it was the late 90s. I was finishing up with college. I wanted to know how laws were made. I didn't want some course. I wanted to know. So I went and I signed up for the New York State Assembly internship program, and they accepted me. Then I walk in, I said, here's my neuropsychological evaluation. I have a first grade reading and writing level. And the program director looked at that and said, this is not going to work. So they said, they got a committee together, went to the speaker, and they said, okay, we're going to not place you in the legislative office building. We're going to place you in the Capitol building in the program and counsel's office for the majority leader. Better for me because they didn't know what to do with an undergraduate. They dealt with graduate students. I was placed there because they had 3 administrative assistants who could take my horrendously bad writing and turn it into the memos that I had to turn in each week. For the academic portion, it's a very standard accommodation that they gave me back then, is I gave a tremendously long, hours-long presentation with a hard Q&A session instead of a 30-page research paper.
Okay.
Well, they said, we're recommending to your university 15 credits of A-, or 3.67 on a 4.0 scale. So it goes back to the political science department at the State University of New York in Buffalo. They are not required to take this. They generally follow it or maybe make a mild change. What do you think my final GPA was?
So that's interesting. Just because I like strong stories. I'm going to get what your final GPA a 4.
No, no, no. I'm dyslexic. They didn't like my accommodations. They decided to give it a haircut
So what did they cut the haircut
to an F.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so understand this. This is not some random place that made these accommodations.
No.
This is the New York State Legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm at a state university, the flagship campus, our version of Penn State.
Sure.
All right. And the political science department says, we don't like the accommodations the state legislature came up with. So here's your 15 credits of F. So I had enough of this discrimination.
Yeah.
So I went to some of my other professors. I said, where do I go to force myself to learn to read and write so I can show other dyslexics?
Mm-hmm.
And they jokingly said law school. So I said, okay, I'm going to law school.
Why did they say law school?
Because if you want to force yourself to read and write, nobody reads more or writes more than lawyers. Okay, it's by definition what they do. So I go, I find a dyslexic professor, Professor Warner. I go and I sign up. I'm auditing his contracts class. I did a property class as well.
Okay.
He calls on me the second day, and people are looking at me with sympathy. So what they do in law school is called the Socratic method. You want to know about it? It was a famous movie in the 1970s that showed this called The Paper Chase.
Yep.
He asks you a question, and what he does is he'll keep asking you questions when you can't answer it to embarrass you, to compel you to adapt as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that didn't happen to me. Like other dyslexics, I found out later, we go to grad school, we own the place day one. We're just not good students. We dominate it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started answering back, everything organized and focused for the first time in my life. He's a couple of questions in. He's not putting me down. So he starts getting a little snarky. I get a little snarky back. Within a minute or two, where I'm literally leaning forward, yelling at him, he's leaning forward, yelling at me. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by. He raised his hand and said, Russell, you couldn't be any more correct. I got to move on to the next case in the interest of time. I solved law school in that 15 minutes. I learned to read within a month. I learned to write within a couple of years. So then I went back to the New York State Senate and I said, I want you to fund my research. The Senate does not fund dyslexia. They don't fund research at all. But I said, I need you to do this. So they sent me over to the New York State Education Department. And they said, okay, you got this new fancy way, because if you're dealing with traditional Republicans, it's really simple. They want to see something come from their school districts. Like the school districts want it, the education department wants it, the professors want it. Then they'll look. Democrats are different. They start from a bill and move down. So I went to the education department under the majority leader's direction. They said, how do we get rid of this kid? So they said, where is this out of? I said, Buffalo. They said, find a SUNY distinguished professor in Buffalo in psychology. They're top rank. 2 of the biggest college and the university centers are there. So I go out, like there's got to be a bunch of them. There's 2. One who gave me the evaluation when I did the internship, she's still there. She's a distinguished professor. Her name is Dr. Olichka.
Okay.
She does it. New York State pays for it 20 hours of being hammered by the smartest person I ever met. And they said, yeah, he can go from first grade to grad level and back down again.
Mm-hmm.
So then they said, okay, there's something here. Now connected to current research, I did that. Within that took me 2 weeks instead of years. Within 6 months, I got 15 grand. And then I went and we tested this out. Her student, her name is Michaela. I was going for highly motivated, highly intelligent, college-bound, excellent family support. What can I do with the ideal? Michaela went from 8th grade writing to average of entering graduate students within 6 months.
Okay.
We did that another time. Then we went and the state funded us for years. 1 class period a day for the school year. The students, these are highly intelligent, highly motivated, picked by their district. Their best teacher, Susan Ford, at the Averill Park Central School District, right outside of Albany, New York. Okay. The kids went from middle school writing to the average range of entering graduate students at the end of the year. They all went on to college. They all graduated, GPAs of 2.5 to 3.6, no accommodations. Compared to the best dyslexic college at the time, Landmark College, we were 3x as successful for less than 1% of the cost.
So I love this, and the results are staggering. Do you
Oh,
mind?
no, here's the best part.
But
Cost of New York State. Guess how much it was per kid?
Tell me.
Less than $900.
Beautiful. Now, hold that thought, because I want to take a trip first on the old Wayback Machine. And I don't need to take you all the way back to the John Houseman Paper Chase movie days, but I was going to say, I remember that movie too, but and the show. But what I wanted to talk about is this. You said something as you were speaking, and you talked about it was determined that you were reading at a first grade reading level, right? Someone makes this determination. How was that determination made?
Not just somebody, a State University of New York distinguished professor in psychology. How was that made?
Yeah.
I sat in front of her. I sat in front of her for 20 hours over 3 days. But that initial diagnosis came back from way before, years before, when I was in college. Okay. So, and why did I go to her? She was literally 400 feet from the South Campus of SUNY Center of Buffalo.
Okay.
And she said, I had no idea who she was. I didn't realize she was one of the top living psychologists in the country. So we go in, she gives me the testing, and she says, yeah, you're at the first grade level. And then I have a system where I can temporarily boost that up. All right. But generally I maintain and it's really difficult. And then I finally found, going through law school, how to make that gain generally more permanent. I still have flashes where I go back down to first grade. I have to concentrate to read at the grad level. But when I was reading much deeper than my classmates. So let me give you an example. In law school, they would give us a question for a multiple choice quiz. All right, you're supposed to think for 3 to 5 minutes. I didn't think for 3 to 5 seconds. I got it instantaneously. I turn it in. I'm twiddling my thumbs for over half the class because I'm bored because I got 100, and I'm like, this is so easy. Then I ran into legal research and writing, and that's when I decided I can't be a lawyer.
There you go. Now, before you make this determination, way back, how long or did you know? What was it like when you were younger? Long before you're sitting in with these accomplished people from the State University and accomplished people across the country. How long was it that you were aware that you read differently?
I was placed in special education in 3rd grade. My parents said it wasn't a punishment, but it was. Because I'm in there with kids who are lucky if they can go and clean toilets. That's what the expectation was. I forced my way out for history class in 8th grade. I was told I was going. The school board member lived across the street. His son is a year younger than me. We got our Eagle Scouts at the same time, the same ceremony. So I went and I said, get me out of history. He said, I can do this once. So I get out of history. I walk into 8th grade history. And the teacher says, I'm going to make you, he's the football coach. He said, I'm going to make you think. And I was like, okay, I never studied. I just remember what he said. I got hundreds on every test and quiz except for one. He said, yeah, you got one wrong. I looked at it. I said, it's D. He said, yeah, it's D, but you put a B. I reversed them. Okay, I won the history award. And then in high school, I was mainstreamed in college-bound classes and AP history for American and European through high school.
So obviously we never have been in this conversation talking about intelligence, but what I do want to at least identify are individuals not knowing what they're supposed to do with somebody who learns differently. And so that's the kind of thing I'm always interested in. What was that like? What did it feel like when you're literally knowing what you are capable of are reverted back to a third grade, situation where your parents are saying it's not a punishment? What was that like for you?
Of course, it was the punishment. They tried. My parents both had good jobs,
Mhm,
and they drove crappy, really old cars. And when we went on vacation, we went camping.
mhm.
So we're spending $20 a night at a campsite instead of $60 for a hotel. So they had a lot of excess money,
Okay.
and they owned a half. They were just very cautious financially, so they had an abundance of money, and they tried everything, and I had to do it myself. I
Mhm.
had to start teaching myself how to do things. And just what dyslexia is.
Yeah, talk to me.
This is the top book in the field. It's
Mhm.
called Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shawitz from
Right.
Yale. Okay, that's dyslexia. That's it. Do you see how the back part of my brain has next to no neuroactivity, but
Yes.
yours is going crazy?
Yes.
Now, do you see how the front part of my brain is 2.5 times overactive?
Got it.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
by the
it.
way, I'm sorry. If you hadn't said that, the second part of the equation, I kept looking. When you said 2.5 times, I'm like, "Oh."
Yep.
So, it's interesting because I'm looking at what you're doing or saying, and you're giving me a cheat sheet, and I missed this. So, anyway, thank you.
Right. So people, it's Overcoming Dyslexia, second
Right,
edition. Sally Shawitz from Yale, page
right.
78, figure number 23. So I am the only person in the world that has focused on the front part of the brain and
Mhm.
found ways to make it
Okay,
really work. So let me give you an example.
please.
Yale said the front part of the brain is 2.5 times overactive.
Right.
Okay. It's articulation followed by word analysis. So what I did
Mhm,
is I looked at the GRE, it was a graduate records exam,
mhm.
analytical writing section, not writing section, analytical. So I looked at our analytical articulation. I said, about the same thing. Did very little word analysis.
Mhm.
Worked brilliantly. That's with those initial kids. Now, when you're asking, like, why do dyslexics suffer in school so much?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example between my famous distant cousin, okay, and me when it comes to football.
There you go.
So you remember Norm Van Brocklen, the Dutchman.
Yes, absolutely.
How would you rank him in his era as a quarterback? Where would you rank him among all the quarterbacks?
Oh, he's quite up there, in terms of overall NFL rankings, quite highly.
Okay. So if we went to, let's just say we brought Norm somehow back into his prime and put him into the NFL today,
Right.
do you think he would do really well?
No, I don't. And I say that simply because systems have changed, the speed of the game has changed, uh, the ability to be able to learn
Okay.
different. So I
Let's
would say no.
let's simplify it.
Right.
Could he without game day could he throw the ball and have professional wide receivers catch it really well in practice?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, let's assume that his economic fortune is based on his ability to stand there, throw the ball to wideouts 30 yards down the field, and them
Mhm.
catching it. He's going to do really well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm a distant cousin. When I was in ninth grade and entered high school, the football coach wanted me to be the starting quarterback. And I said, grab one of the random cheerleaders. And they grabbed one of the cheerleading girls coming over and said, let's see who can throw farther. I'll give you a little hint. It wasn't me. All right. And she was pretty accurate, and I'm all over the place. So what I want you to think about is when you're somebody who has no ability. My ability was I could run 10, 20 miles, no problem. I could swim for 5 hours really hard.
Right.
It was different. But when you're looking at that, I have no business being a quarterback in football. All right. So, but I want you to imagine if it was me if I was back in my prime, because I'm 52 now. If I was back in my prime, let's say they were going to say they would accommodate me. They would give me the most expensive football in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They would give me the best protection.
Sure.
They would give me the best equipment. And the people I'm competing against are very skilled, but they're using used equipment from Walmart. I'm still going to lose. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is when the schools say we will accommodate the dyslexic, here's why it doesn't work. All right. The first thing when you're dealing with dyslexia, here's the model.
Okay.
Is you have to focus on the kid's speciality, their area of extreme interest and ability. As a dyslexic, remember I told you in law school, I owned the place day one? That's because we excel in a very narrow area. We walk in, we own grad school day one or soon thereafter.
Okay.
Because it's in our speciality. All right. But let me give you an example. Here's the most popular book when I teach kids privately.
Right.
Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination, all 1,000 pages of it. Here's my question. Have you ever been to Disney World or Disneyland?
Yes. Disney World. Yes. Disneyland.
You walk into the Magic Kingdom. It's Main Street, USA. Do you feel the Disney magic?
Yes.
Disney magic is two universal themes. You walk into Main Street, USA, that's Marceline, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
That is where Walt was between 5 and 10. And he spent his rest of his life trying to recreate that. Why am I spending so much time on this? Because there are two universal themes. And the kids that are into this really love Disney World. They want to know, what's the magic?
Right.
And Walt, they think, was dyslexic. And I said, you got to find it by reading. So I give it to one example I use is one 10-year-old girl, and she's reading at the second grade level, and I give her stuff, part of the book that's around like 9th or 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and I give her this really time-consuming process, and she is so focused on it. 2 years later, now she's reading the entire book, all 1,000 pages. She's 5 years ahead of her classmates. And then we're trying to find the second universal theme, and her mom with a master's degree can't find it. And finally, I tell her daughter, tell her where it is. And she said, Mom, it's right there. And Mom said, I can't believe I missed that. I said, in this context, you have a master's degree. Your 12-year-old daughter can comprehend better than you can. Have I done my job?
Sure.
But you step out of that book. And the school system, you remember in high school, you did 5-10 books a year or whatever?
Yes.
The dyslexic wants to do one book for years. And now we're doing all these books that are outside their speciality. Their motivation for the most motivated kid drops at least 50%. Most of the time, it's 75 to 80. That's problem number one. So you're now down motivation-wise 50 to 80%. Number two, dyslexics, you don't teach from the general to the specifics. It forces the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. That's confusing. Let me unconfuse it. Once you get done with a speciality, the next thing we have to do is to understand for dyslexic. This is a key point, until we reach grade level or above, you can't ask a general to a specific question. Because for us, it's like grabbing fog. There's nothing there. So for example, what I'd like to use as an example is Martin Luther King.
Right.
Imagine, here's a general to a specific question that'll make a dyslexic just go, I don't know what to do. What effect did Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech have on the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s? If somebody paid you $10,000 to go write an essay, you know immediately what to do, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. For dyslexic, it's like grabbing fog. There's nothing there. So what we have to do is ask a specific to a general question. For example, what personally compelled Martin Luther King to want to give his famous speech? We find the answer. By looking it up, that answer gives us a question, which gives us another answer, which gives us another question, another answer. This key point forces the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. And that's confusing. Let me say it again.
Yeah, please.
It forces the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. Still confusing. Let me show you how that is, so it makes sense. We're going to give you the test to see if you're dyslexic, ADD, or ADHD.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me something that's your specialty. Just one thing. It doesn't matter what it is that you're really good at, that you really love.
Public address announcing, sports announcing.
Sports announcing. Okay.
Mhm.
When you're thinking about sports announcing,
Mhm.
do you have ideas flying around your head at light speed, key question, but with little to no organization? Is that you or not really?
Not really.
No. Okay. For dyslexic, you would have said yes.
Okay, got it.
So then what we do, and ADD and ADHD is the same thing. They'll say yes to. We need to force that brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. I'll give you an example of that in a minute.
Mhm.
The third thing for the model is, do you recall when I'm showing you this? Let's just go back to it. Here's the front part.
Yes.
Here's the brain again. Now, the front part of the brain is 2.5 times overactive.
Right.
Initially, what happened is Yale said, this is articulation followed by word analysis. That's why I did my first course. But when I tried to make this for everybody, I found that wouldn't work. So I had to flip it. Word analysis followed by articulation. Let me show you how powerful that is.
Okay.
Do you know any dyslexic elementary school kids ever?
Technically, I don't. I mean, I've read about dyslexic people, but I can't
Okay.
think of young kids. Like, I can identify celebrities, like Tom Cruise has said he is dyslexic.
Mhm.
Cher has said she is dyslexic. Two examples of a bunch, but I don't know any young kids.
Another one,
to my
Steven
knowledge.
Spielberg.
Wait a minute.
Steven Spielberg.
There you go. But
Okay.
young kids, I can't say that I do. I
Okay.
don't have kids, so that could be a reason too.
So let me explain to your audience. For those of you that have dyslexic kids, you're probably dealing
Right.
with them in elementary school, writing what teachers describe at major dyslexia conference. They're
Mhm.
saying that their students have write a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words. I'm going to show you how to fix that
Okay.
right now, very simply. So remember, the first thing we have to do is word analysis.
Mhm.
So let's take an example of a student. This is a student who I don't know where he's located. Can't remember, somewhere in the Midwest.
Mhm.
Really into football. His name is John.
Okay.
He's 8 years old. Loves playing football. Loves watching it. His
Mhm.
families are really, really, really into it. For them, it was Notre Dame. Okay,
Mhm.
this is going back a while. So what we're going to do is you're going to write out 10 things that John really, really likes and 10 things he really, really hates. All right. And we're going to start off with word analysis. I am going to give you the simplest process in the world. Then I'm going to ask you the simplest questions. All right. And then we're going to see if you can get it right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to start off with hero plus sign. What are we talking about? You're going to type that out on a laptop computer,
Okay.
not an iPad, not an iPhone, and certainly not handwriting, on a
Why?
laptop computer with real keyboard. Why? Because when you're trying to write the letter W instead of hitting a key, it takes the whole system and throws it off because we just don't have the mental processing power.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So, and remember, the iPad and iPhone don't work. It has to be a real keyboard.
Mhm.
So you type out hero plus sign. What are we talking about? We're going to replace hero with John. John plus sign. What are we talking about? We're going to go to the list. His favorite thing is football. We're going to replace what are we talking about with football? John plus sign football. See how we got there?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to try to fool you with giving you the simplest questions you will ever be asked. And if you follow them exactly,
Mhm.
you'll get it right. If not, like most people, then you'll be confused like crazy, and then you'll have an epiphany in what dyslexia is. Do you think I'll be able to fool you?
Highly likely, but anyway,
Okay.
yes. Highly
Let's
will,
go
but
ahead and give it
I
a
still
shot.
want to play.
John plus sign football. We need to replace the plus sign with a word. Here's my question.
Mhm.
Does John like or dislike football?
Like.
Okay. You're one of the few people that got that correct.
Mm.
Now, here's my next question.
Mhm.
Let's see if you can not make a mistake.
Okay.
You probably are. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Go ahead and take that like, put it into the sentence. What's the sentence? It's a 3-word sentence. We have John plus
John
sign
likes
football. You made the mistake.
Oh,
Do you see what happened?
wow.
Do you see the mistake you made?
Not exactly.
Okay, remember I said, does John like or dislike? You said like,
Like,
and then you put it into the sentence and you made the mistake. What's the sentence again?
John like football.
You got it right. You're one of the few people that did it.
There you
Remember
go.
when you said initially John likes football?
Likes. Exactly. I changed the grammatical like sense of it to keep the word. I got it. All right. Yeah.
So what?
Awesome.
Just so your audience understands what happens, what you did
Mhm.
when you add like to the sentence, like
Yeah.
most educated people, you automatically added the s to make it a proper
Fix
sentence.
the grammar, so to speak.
Yes, automatically.
Mhm.
John doesn't know how to do that because he's dyslexic.
Ah.
Okay, now we get to the fun scientific fact of how do we
Right.
get an 8-year-old to add the S? If you're rich, if you're a multimillionaire and you send John to a $75,000 a year private school like the Windward School in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, they have a 98% success rate.
Got it.
It's only $75,000 a year for 4 to 5 years.
Sounds so reasonable. So you're
Yes, you have the 3 to 400 grand sitting in your bank account that you can just hand out, right? Yeah, I mean seriously. So why is that the case? Because they use a multi-sensory seeing, touching, hearing, and it's complicated as all heck.
Right.
I'm going to show you how to make that really simple.
Mhm.
What we do is we ask John to read what he wrote out loud. John, like football. John, does that sound generally correct? He's going to say no. I'm going to say, John, fix it. John likes football. We practice that with 10 likes and 10 dislikes. Now, tell me now, do you see how like and dislike is a very simple form of word analysis?
Yes.
Now, we're going to go because, and the reasons are a form of articulation. Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Say it again. I'm guessing you along. Seriously, say it to me one more time.
Okay. So what we're going to do is just to make sure everybody has this. Here's the picture of the brain again.
Right.
We're going to use the front part of the brain. My
2.5
version is
times a dyslexic's brain, 2.5 times larger up front.
Right. Now, and that is word analysis followed by articulation.
Okay.
Like and dislike is a form of word analysis. Then you go because, and the reasons are a form of articulation. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we're going to now deal with another major problem with dyslexia. Let's first of all, by giving an example. Why does John like football? John likes football. Give me a simple reason why an 8-year-old would like football.
It's exciting.
Because it's exciting. John likes football because it's exciting. Now, do you see how we have a lot of misspelled words here?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how complicated that is to fix using traditional methods? It will literally take you 2 years to understand how. And 11,000. It's like a master's degree. It's called the Orton-Gillingham approach from the Orton Academy. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do that very simply in a few minutes. So what we do is we have John read what he wrote out loud. Okay. And then once we've done this, John, does that sound generally correct? Yes. So he's fixed the grammar. You tell him to put a period down. Key thing with grammar now, you're not going to go after him for every little freaking problem. You will end this and put him in extreme emotional chaos.
Right.
Don't do that. Only deal with grammar if it's horrendously bad. Okay. The simple and the medium mistakes, teachers can deal with that once he's writing a basic 5-paragraph essay. Your job is to get him to a position where his gen ed teachers can work with him. So we have him speak out loud if there's any horrifically bad grammar mistakes. All right. Now we get to the spelling. Once you put the period down, if he's misspelled a word, he's got to retype the entire sentence. So what happens? He says, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And he does. Repeatedly. Sometime around 9 to 13 times, he's still making that mistake. And what's going on is at that point, as he keeps making the same mistake over and over again, he's concentrating harder and harder until about 9 to 13 times, you can start to see sweat coming off their foreheads every
Right.
once in a while. Now, that's where the magic happens. He'll keep making mistakes until he doesn't. And then you have him keep repeating it until it's right. So if he's doing it at number 18 for a word he dislikes,
Mhm.
and he makes a spelling mistake, start off at the beginning again and have him redo the whole thing until it's perfect.
Mhm.
Okay? Then it's going to be reason 1 and reason 2, then reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3.
Hmm.
Now, for a 10-year-old, that'll take between 2 and 6 weeks. For a third grader, it's going to take the semester. A lot of these kids are essentially writing at the kindergarten for beginning first grade level.
Mhm.
This brings them up to the end of second, beginning third grade level.
Mhm.
A year and a half, 2 grade levels increase that you can do at home at 10 to 15 minutes a night. That's how powerful this is.
I have a couple follow-up questions on this
Mhm.
before we continue. So, and these are the questions. You brought up 2 cases of point talking about the emotional dynamic, and you were saying sometime between 9 and 13 times you could see sweat coming off of the kids, right? And we're talking about young kids. And I wanted to ask you, from
Mhm.
your own direct experience being a kid, what you exhibited or watching kids, I'm really fascinated by the fact that this feels like in the wrong hands, this could be a really, really humiliating experience. I'm picturing something insane, like watching the old movie The Miracle Worker and thinking of Patty
Mhm.
Duke teaching Braille to, I mean, Patty Duke wasn't, I mean, her character teaching Helen Keller, and that sense of crazy frustration in the article. Have you found that how do you like, are kids in general able to be tolerant of that kind of pressure? And that's the only thing, like that just feels really difficult in terms of the mental angst. Are kids that resilient? Are they able to handle that?
Yes, because for the first time they're seeing results. And remember, I'm advising parents to do this or
Mhm,
teachers,
mhm.
and the teachers aren't doing this in front of everybody. They're normally in a few kids off to the side,
Okay.
and parents know
Okay.
their kids. All right. And
Yep.
they're not going to accept
Mhm.
problems with this. They're just not.
Right.
All right. They know parents aren't going. I have uh, heard of uh, kids occasionally, like a bully, trying to pull this stuff. And
Sure.
I would immediately get onto the principal and say,
Mhm,
listen, do you want to be dealing with child protective services? Do you
mhm,
want an attorney coming to you?
mhm.
Do I need to call the police about bullying?
Right.
Because we now have very strict laws against that. And I explained just how
Well, that's a
that can't be
relief.
allowed. And I can tell you what happens every time without exception.
Mhm.
The principal then goes and contacts the kid's parents and said, this stops or they're gone.
Okay.
And I've literally seen these bullies. They are they are literally chucked out of school for a week or two. One case, they were kicked out of the district permanently. Okay. This stuff is not tolerated anymore. I threaten lawyers, I threaten police, I threaten CPS,
Mhm.
but I never have to enforce it because once they understand how severe that can be,
Mhm.
it is what was tolerated when we were kids. It is not tolerated anymore. Okay, and
Right.
they take care of that. So yeah, but it's parents doing this, it's teachers doing this. Sometimes I even have 14-year-old AP English girls doing this.
Okay.
They all know, especially if they're not a parent or a teacher, this is something that in their training we discuss at length.
Mhm.
And if they're not sure, they go and get a parent or teacher. And honestly, I've never had a problem with it.
Okay.
Just so parents know, when you're talking about bullying, literally, um, the worst case I had was a kid who was bullied. Then I stepped in,
Mhm.
and mom called crying because I just started working with a kid.
Okay.
And he's in the nurse's office and he got beat up in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this is beyond the principal. This is beyond the school district. I said, what I want you to do is call the local state police. And they sent down an officer.
Wow.
Remember, this isn't the local cops. This is the state officer.
Exactly.
This is in New York State, okay?
Understood.
Our acceptance rate is 1% to 2% for that branch.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, talks to the nurse. All permission is given. It's on a video call. Officer looks down. The kid has black eyes. He's got a bloody lip. He said, this is an assault. He took the bully and it put handcuffs on him and took him out in the squad car. His father had to leave work. And his father had a very important job to get him. Then he was brought before the judge, and the judge said, I'm giving you one of these, a slap on the wrist.
Sure.
He is giving him some community service.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I ever see you back here again, you're going to jail. So what did the kid do? 6 months or so later, he's bullying another kid. He leaves my client alone. Guess who got to spend 6 months in juvie?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. This stuff is not tolerated anymore.
So,
okay. Most of the time, the principal just takes care of it.
Okay. So, well, that's a massive relief. So to me, that's because I want to tie to the emotional part because I love the practical expertise. And the fact is, what I'm thinking about is the emotion of the parents. Like, say, let's take it to this day and age that where they see that their kid is different somehow. Mm-hmm. I was going back, look, I love the fact that you talked about yourself being combative is not the word I want, but you were pushing back in college with no difficulty and going toe to toe with your professor that was taking on that sort of, hardened John Houseman role, right? And you were going toe to toe and standing up. Is that an unusual trait for someone who is dyslexic, or is that a more common trait? Because I would think that's amazing to me that you would have the wherewithal to be able to stand in, so to speak.
Well, so really two questions there. The first, remember, I was in law school, not as an undergrad at that point. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is what they do. Now, when you're a dyslexic and you're in your specialty, you go to law school. Right. We've been in this for our entire lives. Let me give you an example.
Yep.
One of the clients I'm working with, his name is 13. I'm going to change his name to protect his identity. It's John. Okay. John is reading and writing at like first grade, kindergarten, second grade, somewhere around there. But he's interested in chemistry. So what he's interested in is a video for college students about taking, I'm not joking, paint thinner and turning it into cherry soda. He's fascinated about that. Okay. Well, so that's what so his intellect is 5+ years ahead, and reading and writing is 5+ years back.
Right.
Kind of a typical case. All right. So when you're dealing with a dyslexic, we get to grad school. Somebody like that, imagine he's in 8th grade and he's doing college level stuff. Mm-hmm. By the time he's through college, he knows this so well. When you walk into a doctoral program, can you add value? And yes, here's what it is: instantaneously, that day or soon thereafter. And then you're golden. The publishable idea is the currency of the realm, and we have it in spades.
Got it.
Remember, we got 2.5 times the neural activity.
Got it.
Now, parents. Mm-hmm. Now, parents, here's a key thing. I'm writing a book now called Literacy and Reading Dyslexia Turnaround. It's about Kimberly. We're recording this in October of 2025.
Right.
I met Kimberly on December 27th, 2024.
Okay.
She spent $700 to have her son, her kids tested by Ohio. Mm-hmm. Reed was a beginning 3rd grade reading and writing level. Okay. A year and a half behind. If he stayed in public school, or if he went to public school for January through the end of the school year, he's expected to increase by about 2.5 points.
Okay.
That didn't happen. I started going through that process I told you about. Mm-hmm. Reed increased by 20 points.
Hmm.
7, 10 times greater than what was expected. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
7, 10 times greater.
Yeah, amazing.
An hour and a half a week.
Mm-hmm.
Most parents do 10 to 15 minutes a night. All right. Here's why this was so important. Reed's friends in the summer, this last summer, said, Reed, we want you in public school with us in middle school. We want you in our classes. We want to eat lunch with you. We want you to be a social kid with us.
Okay.
He said, okay, I want the same thing. If this was January, they would have put him in special education.
Mm-hmm.
He would not be with his friends. He would have been miserable. But because his mother did what every mother dreams about, got him not only to grade level, but a little above. He went from the 4th to 11th percentile in reading to the 65th percentile.
Mm.
So he's in public school. What's going on? Is it all perfect? No, we ran into 2 issues.
What were
His math teacher likes to have him write a lot of writing in math class. He doesn't like to write because he's a little slower than everybody else. He will always be a little slower, but he can think in orders of magnitude faster, which is great in grad school,
Got
but
it.
not in 6th grade. So how big of a deal is it?
Mm-hmm.
He tried to push back. A well-behaved, well-brought-up kid, his mom and the teacher, on my advice, were walls. He couldn't get anywhere, so he gave up. All right. And he's doing what he's doing. Then he forgot to turn in his journal for Google something or other. So his grade was a C. He figured out what he had to do. Now his grade's back up into the B range.
Okay.
He's fine. He's in public school.
So that's the word, and I like this. That he's fine. He's in, but like to me, there's like, I hate words. I like your word way better than normal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is
Yeah.
what would have been my choice of words, and a poor choice of words. I love the sense he's fine. He's in public school. Like, there's a sense of just, I love the fact that his classmates were also, hey, we want you in class. And you know what I mean? We don't want you going to like your special school or whatever.
Yeah. And his mom said, and the book is about her hopes, her dreams, her failures, and her defeats. And she said quite plainly, she thought she failed as a parent.
Wow.
Because she taught his 4 brothers and sisters how to read very well using normal methods. Okay. And now she feel like, I succeeded. Now we're just beginning with read. Now we're moving on to where I'm showing him how to do 2 quotes per paragraph.
Right.
One at the beginning of the story, one at the end. We're finding the best one for each. And then, are you familiar with something called a warrant for a body paragraph?
No.
Nobody knows what this is.
Right.
This comes from a book called The Craft of Research, which is designed to teach PhD students how to write research papers.
Okay.
A warrant is a way of taking facts and turning them into an analytical discussion. Reed is going to start learning that probably in the springtime to do 2 warrants per body paragraph. Then I add a few other steps. He'll probably have this done at the end of 7th grade, and he will be writing body paragraphs at the level of a high school senior.
Wow. Okay.
And then we go to solution, where I want you to imagine, give me a book that everybody reads in high school that you still kind of remember. What's the name of it?
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, we're going back in time, aren't we?
Really far back for me. Oh my God. Oh, Shakespeare is one.
Romeo and Juliet.
There you go. Right.
Okay. Could you imagine writing a paper on the Romeo and Juliet that's completely original?
No.
Reed will know how to do that when he's in high school.
That's amazing.
I mean, original at the graduate level.
Right.
It's been reduced to a formula. He will be blowing past in content AP English AP English students. They won't be able to get anywhere close to what he's writing content-wise.
I love this.
Because they'll be writing the same papers that people have been writing for the past 50 years.
Exactly. And that was considered fine. Whereas this becomes exceptionally good, and you go from not fine to exceptional, without the, as if I remember the number correctly, the $75,000 per year of
Right.
comparative sense. Quite
Yes, in private, and just so you know, yesterday I did a podcast,
right.
and I'm going to change her name, even though it's public knowledge. I'm going to call her Jill. It's
Okay.
about a mom and a daughter doing AI podcasting.
Mhm.
Okay, if you want to know what it actually is, you can look it up, but
Sure.
I'm not giving away her name. So Jill's 14.
Mhm.
She's your standard AP kid. She's well advanced in everything. All right. And I said, I can show you how to do this process. And she's like, why would she want to? This is the book, Post-War Japan is History. This is used by at Harvard,
Mhm.
college seniors and first year master's students. That's
Mm.
what it's designed for. I
Right.
switched over to the first article, and it was written by a guy called Professor Dower, who won the Pulitzer and the National Book Award. Okay.
Mhm.
And she couldn't get past the first sentence. She couldn't. And I said, yeah, that's fine, because Dower said it's for 10th grade to second year in college. You're in 9th grade. I said, by the time you get done with this, you can read that. So what took Reed 6 months,
Mhm.
she'll probably have her mother teach her in about 2 to 3 hours.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Okay. Because those gen ed bright kids go through my process at light speed. The dyslexic just goes a lot deeper.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
So-
my goal at the end of this process with
Mhm.
her is for her to be able to read this advanced stuff.
I love this. So, Russell, I have two more questions for you before I acknowledge you properly. But the first question is this: what are some of the earlier signs parents should look for, not including the school thinks there's a situation? What should parents be seeing on their own to identify maybe there's something here that ties into uh, dyslexic reading?
Okay. Boys and girls are different.
Okay.
Boys will generally act out when you ask them to read. And you're thinking, I have a behavioral problem here, and you don't.
Right.
You're asking, it's like asking, you remember the kids in high school that you went with who were really bright, but were maybe 6 foot tall and weighed 110 pounds?
Yeah.
It's like asking them to be a lineman on a college football team.
Sure.
It's just, I'm going to get crushed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Makes no sense for these 110-pound guys going up against 300-pound monsters on Penn State.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically that's why they're behaving like that. Girls are different. They will generally just take it.
Mm.
So if you're noticing with girls, if they're having trouble reading when everybody else isn't, they're probably dyslexic. Okay. What you're going to want to do is simply go ahead and go to Yale. Just Google Yale and dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creative Studies.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, how do I determine if my kindergarten kid is dyslexic?
Right.
They will tell you. It's very cheap. The school can do it. Now, once you find out that they're dyslexic and they're in kindergarten, beginning part of first grade, then Yale will say, here are the programs you use. We got a bunch of them, but federally funded, like $1 million a piece, that will take your kid from where they are to be at grade level or close to it by the end of third grade. Why is that important?
Mm-hmm.
Kindergarten through third grade, we learn to read. Fourth and above, we read to learn. If you fail that third grade reading and writing test, it is an academic 911. If they pass, they're going to be generally okay. If they fail, you're going to be like New York State Senator Brad Hoylman Segal. His daughter was found out to be dyslexia, Sylvia. His family can afford this. So he goes and spends $8,000 on a neuropsych. These are Manhattan prices.
Yeah.
Then they say, oh, she's dyslexic. Oh, if you came when she was in kindergarten, this isn't too hard. She's in fourth grade, so now she's in a $75,000 a year for 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be fine. So what he did is he passed a law. In New York State, if you think your kid's dyslexic, your insurance company has to pay up to $5,000 for a neuropsych. Now, you just can't say, I think my kid's dyslexic, give me $5,000 for a test. Your teacher's word for it isn't probably going to carry it. Here's what you do. You go to your kid's teacher. I think my kid's dyslexic because da, 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 da. Then you make an appointment with with your kid's pediatrician.
Okay.
You bring that note. You don't want a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant. You want the MD. Mm-hmm. And they look at this and go, yeah, I think the kid's dyslexic. They write up something, a couple of lines. Insurance companies find it really hard to ignore a medical doctor. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then you get the test and you find out what's going on. My preference is you just solve this by the end of third grade. If you fail that, I'm here to help you from fourth and above. Do I work with younger kids? On occasion, yes. Honestly, if your school can do the Yale thing, that's better. Okay. And with my kids, the older you are, the quicker you pick it up.
Got it.
All right. So it's completely different than the Orton Gillingham take 4 to 5 years nonsense.
Mm-hmm. I think it's outstanding. Now, obviously, your website, dyslexiaclasses.com, will be in the link. So, folks, you won't have to guess or wonder. Russell, in addition to your website, where is the best, or where are the best? I was thinking, John, like football. Where are the best places to find you?
Best thing to actually do is just go to Dyslexia Classes, plural. It's with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com.
Right.
And there's a button there that says download free report. Click on that, answer a couple of questions, and you're going to get a document, the 3 reasons your child's having trouble in school due to dyslexia. Then you need to do what most parents fail to do, and so I can't really help you. You go on the link, set up a Zoom appointment with me.
Okay.
I walk you through a half an hour. If it needs more time, it needs more time. And what I do is I find your kid's speciality and we find their book and their audio book, or it's custom made. I find that the hardest thing to teach. So I do it myself. You find that, like if they're really into Walt Disney, we do this book.
There you go. Right.
All 1,000 pages. Mm-hmm. If they're into Theodore Roosevelt, we use this book.
Nice.
All 900 pages. Or it's Harry Potter or whatever. We can find out what it is. Then your kid is locked in and they are ready to work like crazy. All right? And then I ask your kid a couple of questions. They're like, how did you know about that? I swear one time, this was kind of cruel, but the parents wanted to find out what was going on because we discussed it ahead of time. Mm-hmm. I asked them 3 questions. And they said, how did you know that about me? And their parents said, well, we have cameras in the ceiling. And the kid's like, where?
Right.
And I was like, no cameras. I just went through what you went through. Oh, would you like me to guide your parents to show you how to overcome this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Then we get into the problem, especially when I'm doing the Disney book and the parents say, once you can read that, we're going to go down to Disney World. And then the kid doesn't want to do their homework. It's summertime. They're working on their book 8 hours a day. I'm not joking. It's a kid who has ADHD, but can't get him to do anything, is on that. And they literally had to take the book from him.
Beautiful.
Okay. So you do that and I can show you how to solve this.
And it's
not that hard to do once you understand how the brain works.
You've taught me a ton. I so acknowledge this because this was an area that I felt like I had, even doing research and homework and all that stuff for you and the topic, I felt like I didn't have a grasp on this at all. So I really am grateful for all of this. I really am. Russell Van Brocklen, thank you so much for showing up for me today, man. I'm very grateful to you. You made it great. Thanks for educating us, and thanks for giving us even more hope. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
1000%. Hey, folks, you just heard another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, sharing, and we will keep driving more content through your front door. John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Have a great rest of the day, folks, and we will talk soon. Be well. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.